Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another season of DMV Rivals. Our players are shaking off the bitter cold losses of winter and are looking to ride the waves high here in summer. My name is Shiv. Joining me is Prone to get you into our first match of DMV Summer 2026.
Damn right. It is good to be back, and no better way to start it off than with a banger match today. Always a great opener for DMV Summer. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, we will be having our first match be 5 with potential against Big Hands.
I should probably pull up the player sheets too, but I already right off the bat, I'm just excited to see so many of these players. Namely today, big name in the game I want to watch today is Vicarious. This guy had a banger winter split. Uh, I don't know how far he made it exactly. I don't remember, but I just remember watching a few of his games, and I know this guy pops off on AD carry.
Yeah, Vicarious, definitely a name to look for there on the side of Big Hands. Joining him on the red side will be White 89, Scoop, How, and Holiday. And meanwhile, on the blue side will be 5 with potential. Manta Ray, Spark Salesman, Nerne, Rags the Boss making his return to DMV, and potential 5.
Yeah, these are two super exciting lineups. Some old faces, some new faces. Shout out to my boy Nerne up on that team. That guy back like I don't know 4 years ago or something. He was on my team when we were playing back at University of Maryland. I have not seen this guy for forever, so shout out to him. It's great. It's great seeing all these old faces and all these new people too. So I'm just hyped to see where these games go.
Yeah, we certainly had some good standouts over in winter as far as the new players went. Envy had a very nice time in the regular season. We saw like Soy Blake for the first time as well. So definitely some room for the new guys to show what they're capable of. We are waiting on maybe one player who had to leave before draft, but looks like we are now underway. 5 with potential on the blue side, Big Hands on the red as we get into our first draft of DMV Summer 2026.
Yeah, look at that. Respect bands already coming out for the side of Vicarious. Caitlyn being taken away. And Bessa has taken a slight hit, a pretty big hit actually. The kit took a slight hit, but overall the champ feels, in my opinion, a lot different now with that ult nerf. The Fury also taken away from the side of Big Hands. So big respect bands so far.
Yeah, a lot of those. I mean, I don't know if Mbessa or Neferi really qualify as assassins given what they build, but a lot of jungle divers kind of being taken off that initial board all the way as Shinzao and Diana join them. 5 with potential, gonna go first in the bot lane, picking up the Unar.
Yeah, and these triple dive assassin camps being banned away from 5 with potential, kind of limiting this hard dive. So now they're opting with the Unara here, giving Vicarious counterpick. 80 carry counterpick not super huge, but they will choose to maybe look for this Ashe Seraphine with Seraphine locked in. And there goes the Ashe.
Yeah, absolutely. Seraph and Ashe, a very powerful duo. Personally, I think they're very powerful individually as well, but together, of course, has been a very high priority duo. The Ashe slows, the Seraphine heals, all of it makes them a annoying lane as well as very tough duo to pin down later on as they just keep slowing you, getting move speed, and very good in those drawn out fights. And usually needs a response of some weird picks like Mel bot or like Yasuo bot, but we already know the Unar is going bot, so that Mel likely going into the mid lane.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I personally, I don't think of potential 5 as a big Mel mage player in general. I would expect something more like the Lulu or maybe Bard. He's been getting highlighted for his Bard pretty recently as by some of the DMV players. So the early lock-in for Mel really locking down this front to back long range style, and the Karma will back it up as well.
Yeah, Karma definitely there to make the laning phase a good bit better for this Yunara. Could have indexed more towards the Lulu for safety or the Bard for playmaking, but they do say, hey, we want to make sure that we do not get bulldozed in this lane by what can be an oppressive lane from Ashe Seraphine. Big Hands will see if they want to respond to the Mel or have any other power picks, and it will be the
Ooh.
Jarvan locked in.
Yeah, I like it. Forcing Mel's hand now that they have 1.5 immobile champions on the side of 5 with potential. This J4 has a lot of potential playmaking with that Cataclysm. And on top of that, just any AD Bruiser has been fantastic with this Ashe Seraphine combo. We see J4, Wukong, Xin Zhao, literally anything that has a go button is perfect for them. They will just follow it up, throw the Seraphine ult right on top of you to cover you when you engage. So great lock in here. And now they'll just ban away these big beef ball counter picks that these AD Bruisers don't like to play with or play against. So the Mundo will be gone. Something like Skarner could be gone. Something like Scion, Ornn. These big walls.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking towards 5 with potential to see, all right, you're up against a Seraphine, you're up against a Jarvan that can provide that good initial engage. 5 with potential doesn't have much to start the fights on their own terms. And we see the Ornn band away to try to prevent that. So 5 with potential, I feel like they need to pick some kind of strong engage up there in the top lane to really get this Yunara Mel into position in these later game fights.
Yeah, Ornn and Shen being the last 2 bans. So no big tanks for this game. Only Scion really the super big option. I guess Cassante too. If you want to throw Scion Cassante into the game, sure. That would just favor Big Hands no matter which side those 2 champs go. So something that has a bit more trigger pull, something that has a bit more dive is still probably the better option for 5 with potential.
Yeah, for now, Big Hands, though, actually opting for a Lissandra. So augmenting the dive even more with this Jarvan, with this Seraphine over on the side of Big Hands.
Yeah, I actually really love the Lissandra here. It just makes it super easy for J4 to just swoop in anytime in mid lane. And as long as this Mel has no flash, every single time for 5 minutes straight, she has to play scared out of her mind. Even Seraphine can do a quick drive-by, even without that Encore land. Good amount of CC, so huge threat for the mid.
Yeah, and I mean, Lissandra's R is also something Mel can't really do much about with the W. You can... they've changed it so many times, I can't keep track of what the Mel W honestly does entirely anymore. But you definitely can't reflect it. I can at least say that much on the Lissandra R, Jarvan R as well. So they are going to try to look to put pressure on the mid lane. More than likely, and the Wukong is going to be that standard AD Bruiser over there for the side of 5 potential. And that aforementioned Scion, the big meatball in the top lane.
Ooh, if Big Hands plays something like Zahan, Mordekaiser, maybe not Mord because they already have AP, but anything that kind of drain tanks. If they had Bread, a Swain would look good here, but you don't necessarily have to lock in a tank to match the Scion anymore, right? Now you know that 5 with potential. They don't have any backline threat really if you don't put yourself in a bad spot. So they can take this option and will instead actually choose to engage back. They're going harder with the dive, supplementing the Lissandra and the J4.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, Lissandra doesn't provide a whole ton of consistent damage. Ashe is one of the lower damage, more utility carries. So you look Scion and like, hey, this guy might be immortal. But Big Hands just say, no, we're just going to skip right past him. We're going to Malphite on you. We're going to Lissandra at your backline with Seraphine over the top. We'll deal with the Scion later. We'll first just blow up the carries and take the fight from there.
Yeah, I was really loving Big Hands draft up until that Malphite. I still think they have a fantastic draft. The Malphite just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I mean, overall, I still do favor Big Hands. I feel like their first 4 picks are just so powerful and work so well together. And 5 with potential, they did answer the picks in lane, and they have an answer in jungle too. Their mid is, in theory, slightly winning in lane, but their champs just don't work together too well, in my opinion. So it doesn't seem super cohesive. Once this Scion is able to link up, though, and be a huge meat shield, draw attention to other sides of the fight or of any lane that they're playing in, gives them a lot more room. So they kind of got bailed out a little bit with that silence.
Yeah, the primo top pick that no one wants to play because it's boring, but it is exceptionally good at the thing he needs to be, which is just a wall. And I mean, the Ash Seraphine is going to keep the fights going on long, but they aren't really going to provide a ton of damage into the tanks. But they can give themselves quite a while to do so. And I mean, we usually see Mel bot sometimes into the Seraphine Ash because you can kind of disjoint the combo and reflect an arrow, reflect an encore. That encore reflection is probably going to be pretty critical. Gets a bit harder to do so when you probably have to do it against a Malphite ult, but I am curious to see how much value they can get out of this Mel reflect, because there's some stuff they can deal with, some stuff not so much.
Yeah, I'm actually not a super huge fan of this Mel, like especially on the second pick. Um, like you said, there's nothing really for her to reflect besides that Seraphine ult. As long as Seraphine just stands around, throws some E's not in the direction of Mel, presses that double W, they will just be living for days. I feel like this Karma will just get outscaled. Even in lane, it's not super hard to bully the Seraphine. Yes, Karma is powerful in lane, but eventually they will be able to stabilize it. Seraphine, one of the few enchanters, or one of the few supports in the game that can match this Karma.
Just double checking here. Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Mel is going mid as expected. Nothing weird. We saw like Xin Zhao mid. We've seen like Zyra mid in the LPL. You never quite know these days, but looks like everything is pretty stock standard across both sides, as we will get into game shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for game number 1 of DMV Rivals Winter 2026. It's going to be an interesting one to get us kicked off here between the 5-0 potential against Big Hands. And Lissandra and Malphite already some spicy picks to start us off.
Yeah, I don't expect anything too spicy to happen in this early game. Small note, both junglers are going this green smite. Ward won't get cleared. But yeah, I don't expect anything too crazy to be happening in this early game. Both junglers pathing down, big meatball top lane game. And J4 has a lot of pressure in this mid lane with this Lissandra pick, so I'll have to watch for that carefully as well.
Yeah, I am definitely interested to see how this bottom lane goes, given that both junglers starting top side, and you got this double ranged matchup with the Karma Seraphine, where both sides can get pretty aggressive, can start to chunk people out as they fight for prio. And I mean, you mentioned at the top, Vicarious is a player that I think some people have their eyes on. Even if the team did not perform super well, he showed a ton of flashes, made some good mechanical plays. And we're going to see if, start of a new season, that effort translates better into the win column.
Yeah, for sure. This Yunara Karma, not the most notable of the meta bot lane duos, but no slouches in lane by themselves nonetheless. Um, but it's looking pretty good so far for Rags the Boss and potential. Rags the Boss getting quite a few hits onto Holiday and potential showing some muscle as well.
Yeah, we're going to see Barrier get popped by Rags, but see the Pyro Seraphine just
Oof.
gets the root down with the single E into the double Q for a good chunk. And both junglers are definitely going to keep their eye down there. It is just a Barrier on Rags the Boss. So not sure if How is going to immediately go here, but he is looking for it. He's going to skip blue as the E slow is going to connect from Holiday, but Vicarious is just going to get the slows onto potential 5. Flash from How. He's going to slow up Rags, and the Jarvan will be able to lock down first blood. Potential 5 now in the back foot, flashing away from the beat drop. And that is a nice play out from Big Hands.
And immediately already, this J4 is finding value. One of the best early game ganking junglers finds a gank. Finds a great timer to skip the blue buff. Is not warded, so they tracked where the bot lane wards are. Might have to give up the scuttle, but
yeah, Spark is
some scuffling happening.
Yeah, Spark being level 4 means that he's almost assuredly going to be able to grab this crab. And his Mel has a lot of prio mid, so the cost for How on this gank is going to be getting double scuttled. I don't think this invade from Spark is the best because he is down the smite advantage. And Ashe is about to get back on the map as well, but he is sticking around.
Yeah, I think this timing is actually pretty good. He knows that Vicarious took the base, and they're burning so much time off the laner. So yes, the invade didn't work out, but you can see now the mid is crashing. Rags the Boss has had a lot of solo time on that wave too. So great usage of the tempo from Spark Salesman to drag the laners into the jungle and burn time away.
Yeah, definitely getting something back for his bot lane there after the good angle from How. We'll see what Spark wants to do after this top crab. Probably wants to take that first reset. Could get cheeky with a Raptors invade. And I don't think How's going to be able to do much about that one.
Yeah, important to note that Potential 5 hasn't taken his reset yet, while the Seraphine has came back to lane with a tier and a charm as scuffling happened in top lane.
Yeah, Spark doesn't have his reset either, so he's down a pickaxe in this brawl. Is still sticking around as we got tangoing in the bot lane. Potential is going to get the tether root, but he's just keep slowed down, and Rags has to flash away Vicarious and Holiday, taken over in the bot lane 2v2.
Yeah, that's got to be single-digit HP. Vicarious and Holiday, both very, very strong players, and they're proving it. They got the Karma counter pick, but it hasn't even been close to enough to stop this Ashe Seraphine duo.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, that bot lane, they were, like you said, counter-picked, so they put that initial index into it to say, hey, these are the first 2 picks we want in the draft, paying off beautifully thus far. Meanwhile, the Lissandra counter is not going too hot. Scooped down about 20 CS. Nirne doing a very nice job on the Mel. I'm a bit concerned as we get kind of later into the game. There's, as you kind of mentioned, like a lot of distress that Mel's going to be under. But for now, in this laning phase, she's hitting the abilities before people get to move too fast and setting herself up well here in the early game.
Yeah, my boy Nerne putting the hurt on. My boy has not missed a beat. I will say he's using that extra pressure that he got from Wukong Spark Salesman, forcing Scoop to rotate early and dropping that early wave. He's using it fantastically to build this advantage.
Yeah, already got the last chapter finished, so might get a bit difficult for Scoop to be the one making plays with this Lissandra and tag teaming with his jungler if Nerne continuously has control over the minion wave. Top lane, like we don't need to give it the time of day, right? Like it's Scion Malphite. We're good here. We can pan away.
The director camera's been spending a lot of time looking at this top lane, actually.
Hey, I mean, like the Malphite W, you know, it hurts.
Oh, it's looking close. Will either of them ulti? We'll never know.
Yeah, we do have How up here. Has level 6 on the Jarvan as an interruption on the Scion ult. White getting very low and is just going to ult him up. Takes the minions as well, which means there's nothing to tank the tower. Nicely played by White on the Malphite as the top lane tanks are getting busy.
I now understand what caster curses are. Shit. I understand it now. Just when we thought nothing was going to happen, something happened.
Either way, I mean, it's nice. I don't know how much the Malphite's going to really be able to put that to use compared to his bot lane that is continuing to put the hurt onto Rags and potential 5. Wukong is sticking on this objective. Vicarious and Holiday without their ults. Both junglers and the Lissandra have theirs. Now How going into the pit, not able to land the smite. Steal Ash Arrow. Isn't going to find the Wukong, but he's trapped in the Cataclysm all the same. Might be a dragon for the side of... I don't know what acronym we're going. 5WP, I guess. But it is going to be a dead monkey.
Yeah, and Scoop is just fully playing for his team. He dropped a wave to be there first before this Mel. So Nerne is smacking in really hard in the solo matchup, but Scoop says, I know my job. I'm just playing for my team. He was the one first on to Spark Salesman. At least they got the dragon for their efforts, but now an 0-4 kill score so far. A great early game for Big Hands.
Yeah, we do have Spark Salesman holding on to that Cyclone at the very least, so he has some playmaking capabilities. Vicarious is without his flash still. We could maybe see a play down there, but Alpu doing the right thing, making sure that his bot lane is warded up and should be pretty safe as back in mid lane. Scoop gonna get his cube reflected. Nicely done by Nerne, and a lot of hurt out from the Mel. The Eclipse actually is enough damage, and that's a solo kill, getting 5 with potential on the board.
Hey, on the board now, Hapu. Hovering around doesn't have Cataclysm, so won't be able to get anything. But this mid lane matchup, these solo lanes are really looking strong for 5WP so far. This Mel is smacking hard in the mid. Scion smacking hard on the top, although he did die. So minus points for that one. But now it's just about getting Rags the Boss out of this hellhole of a bot lane and getting them into the 5v5 where this Mel and Scion are really able to shine.
Yeah. I mean, to Rags' credit, he has been able to... All right, he's going very low there to the Scorch, but he has been able to keep up fairly well in CS despite all the tomfoolery and pressure that he's been under. Will have to drop this wave. Jarvan, I don't think going to be able to cancel anyone in time, so good look from How, making sure that his bot lane is protected. Not quite able to find the dive, though, as this lead in the bot lane will continue to grow.
Yeah, one thing to note is Vicarious is choosing to go Kraken Slayer, and the item is not super known for killing tanks. So the longer this game goes on without like Vicarious exploding the game, the Scion will become a more and more useful frontline until they're able to get Vicarious is able to get an LDR, and even then we'll have to delay the IE. So just going the Hex Optics would have been a lot better here, in my opinion. It might just be a player preference thing. I don't know.
Does Ashe not have the thing where her crits don't actually do more damage? Is that not?
Yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, it's just a bigger slow, but you know, Scion doesn't care. That's also another reason that's not super great.
Fair. We will see not quite too much action around that top crab. Is just a nice 1k gold lead for the side of Big Hands, and it is with the role you would like it to be with. But play in mid, the Reflect does nothing against the Frozen Tomb. The Empowered Shield, though, buying some time for Nerne, and they are able to find a kill. The Flash out from the Cataclysm to seal the deal and at least get one back. Potential 5 there to match the play. Make sure his mid laner gets out with 1 kill at least.
I mean, Nerne made the best possible out of that situation and got the 1-for-1 with the flash blown. The huge downside is Nerne's flash is also blown, and that flash is much, much, much more valuable than Lissandra's.
Oh, meanwhile, Vicarious is on the hunt down here in the bot lane. They find potential 5 roaming, but they can't pin him down. And now Spark Salesman around the bend. Gonna look for Vicarious. No flash now on this Ashe. It's a beautiful angle on the double encore. Vicarious may actually stay alive. It's a flash forward from Spark Salesman to finish the job. And now Nerne has arrived. Everyone joining for the bot lane fight except for that map fight ult. It's Yunara finding some kills, but the Mel is ready to take over. The Tombs are responding with a lot of damage as Sion rolls on through with the train. It's a double to scoop as it is a bloodbath over I don't know what. I don't see an objective on the bot side, not even a crab, but all 10 players are in the bot lane, and almost all of them died.
DMV Rivals is so back, baby. We are so back. That's that 5v5, 12 minutes in for no reason. I love to see that. And that's exactly what we wanted, too. We wanted to see the 5v5 happen so this Mel and Sion could show up, but now Sion might be in a bad spot too.
Yeah, he's just going to get ran down the distance of the lane. Does have his flash, doesn't have an ult. He's just getting frosted down by the Ashe arrows, so Vicarious able to find something back on the back end.
That's League of Legends. That's real League of Legends right there, boys. You love to see it. Great plays from both sides, evening out the game. But with Sion down here, this should just be full map control and Dragon being given over to 5W or Big Hands for now.
Yeah, a lot of important ultis are back off cooldown for the side of Big Hands. Like that Lissandra, like that Ashar, that makes it quite difficult for the side of 5WP to contest this one. So they even make sure Malphite's down here for the party and secure that Dragon.
13 minutes in, game is dead even. That's what I love to see. Show of it's gonna be a dead even game that is gonna be determined by hands, I think, and team coordination. And that is exactly what I love League of Legends for, baby. It will come down to just this 5v5. Both of these teams built entirely for that reason. The Sion and Malphite, as long as the control mage is mid, providing a lot. And once this Yunara scales too, I feel like since the Hex Optics was not built, the Yunara is Kraken too. Well, I guess that makes more sense.
We do have Spark actually finding a play in with the Cyclone. Holiday is going to get caught. Nice play out from the Wukong. Has the Karma behind him, but the Jarvan's able to get away. Meanwhile, on bot side, Nerne getting scooped pretty low. Hits another spell and another Eclipse leads to a solo kill. Meanwhile, White looking for his second solo kill and forcing Manta to roll the train out of the station.
Action all over the map, but 5WP are just winning out now. They're not able to get these Ashe into the side lane plays. And Scoop was just falling further and further behind to the 6-1 Mel now.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about how the gold is pretty even. Well, a lot of the gold for the side of 5WP is on that Mel, is where they want it for the most part. Allowing her to just spam those abilities, do as much damage as she can. They also have some gold in the Scion, which, you know, not as useful. So it really does feel like it's going to come down a lot to Vicarious, Nerne, and then on the team side, like how that engage for the side of Big Hands is going to stick with the Jarvan, with the Malphite. As maybe they have another play onto Scoop, who's going to not take the frozen path, is surrounded, and will be taken down for the 5th time.
I think Nerne set a tempo trap and just stayed and didn't even base. He didn't TP for that play, so he must have just sat in that bush for forever while Scoop pushed out. Now this Lissandra in a rough spot too, and on mid lane under pressure as well.
Yeah, Spark is here, but he's just a bit off Cyclone, so not quite a threat. How just taking away the Herald up there in the top side, making sure that even while his mid laner is getting slammed down there in the sides, that they find something on the other side of the map. Nerne continuing to build that gold lead, claiming that first tower.
Yeah, Shiv, do me a favor and press X real quick. That's a greater than 3,000 individual gold lead for Nerne in the mid lane. That is pretty disgusting. He's also 2K at least, or 1.5K at least above everyone else in the entire game, including his own team. This Mel is going to hurt in this upcoming dragon fight.
Absolutely. I do want to shout out Manta Ray as well. We did see him kind of get solo killed under the tower, but he's built up a pretty big CS lead, has almost taken that entire top lane tower with very little intervention from the other 8 players. Yeah, the gold isn't going to mean much on the sound, but it is nice that he is picking up what he can, becoming the big beef ball as soon as he can. As meanwhile, it will be Big Hand sieging down that mid lane tower.
Yeah, I'm looking at the inventories of every player, and both AD carries have evened out, it seems. I don't know how much gold Valkyries is sitting on, but both AD carries are on 2 items. So the Yunara can definitely play the game now, but something that's important is that Alpu went Eclipse and now has a second item done, but that is the slot that where Black Cleaver should be. So now without this Black Cleaver, it's going to be really hard for Ashe to do damage to this Scion until she gets her own armor pen. And this J4 is really squishy as well. Yes, you do get shields from the Seraphine, but your overall tankiness is just so much lower than what it should be without those double HP items.
Yeah, and they're moving that tanky Scion into the river for this dragon fight in 20 seconds. They have Malphite split from the team for now. Hawkshot is able to find them in the Banana Brush. As Vicarious going to push out mid, and we'll see how the entry looks from the side of Big Hands.
Yeah, watch Wide's position. He's just been lurking down in this bot lane for forever. We'll meet up with the team now, but he had a good spot in that river, and now just a 5v5 standoff. Here we go.
Yeah, they have that Banana Brush, but they need Vicarious to get linked up. Sound just going to try to tank on the front line. There's the ult right onto the Mel. They know their target. They're sending it for Nerne. He's able to flash out the Cataclysm. Meanwhile, Vicarious staying safe on the other side. Nerne gets the first kill, and now Rags is ready to go with his ulti as he's trying to fight behind his Scion, but the Frozen Tomb is still there from Scoop. It's a double to Nerne as he cleans up the Jarvan. The Scion will eventually meet his end at the arrows of Vicarious. The dive happened for both sides. They both lose their divers. And now it is a 3v4 with Rags the boss having no HP. Big chunk from the Mel, though, onto Vicarious. Spark is sitting in the pit. No ulti, no flash. He's just going to get peppered. Up in goes Scoop with the Lissandra lockdown, but Holiday isn't getting much healthier, and the damage over the wall from Nerne actually takes out the Ashe. They go too soon on the Wukong, and that is their demise. It is a teleport used by White to get back into the mid lane. A flash, cheese wheel, Comet, but the slow from the Slurkle, it's not going to stop him. Another seismic shard, and a solo kill for White on the back end of a chaotic 5v5.
Wide was almost there to save him, but we can start right off at the beginning. They dumped Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Unstoppable Force. They couldn't reach, I think Cataclysm hit actually. So they dumped 3 ults immediately onto Nerne, and then I was like, oh, this guy's surely dead. But then he flashed out with 75% HP, and I was like, oh, never mind. I think they lost. So not being able to kill off Nerne immediately cost them that fight. It looked super bad towards the end. It was a 2-for-1, and they still were able to fight. Rags the boss was only 1 HP, so the drag was fightable, but Vicarious and Scoop, they lost their patience and they saw Spark Salesman low and got baited in to those Mel range spells. That was their doom there.
Yeah, I mean, the Mel is quite strong. We talked about the 2-item spikes coming through on the carries. Well, Mel definitely had her own 2-item spike plus the Spell Slinger tier 3 boots, giving her a whole lot of damage in that fight when she can hit those spells. And with the dragon and Spark causing some disruption, a lot of damage came out over that wall from the Mel. And now it is a almost 4K gold lead for the side of 5 with potential.
Yeah, your saving grace for big hands now is that this Mel has no flash for another 2.5 minutes, no lucidity boots, and I believe no cosmic insight. So if you have a time to make a play with these ults, it should be within these 2 minutes where you can guarantee a much more safer dive onto Nerne.
Yeah, we'll see where they want to make that action happen. They're keeping everything stock standard for now, planting up the Ash Seraphine in mid, but Spark Salesman is looping around. Vicarious has no flash, and they're actually going to pincer him with the Scion. The Ash Arrow finds nothing. A nice ulti in from the Scion. The Encore, though, hits everyone. Malphite's in on the backline, and they blow up Rags. Now Potential 5's in a whole lot of danger. Lissandra's able to get in there, find the resets. Nerne now needs to get away from Haupu, but he doesn't have the important Summoner. A play that 5 with Potential wanted to take has been quickly turned around as Vicarious stays afloat, and so does his team's chances in this game 1.
Oh my god, Vicarious and Holiday. They were the ones that got engaged on, but they were the ones that pulled off the play to turn the fight. That was a 4-man encore straight into the whole team before Nerne could even TP. And they couldn't finish off Vicarious right off the bat. A great dodge onto Unstoppable Force. Manta Ray hits the 2 people in the back, so they thought, let's just turn on them. But then Holiday, with that last breath, hits the 4-man ulti, turns the fight, and they get a good collapse on Nerne with no flash. This is exactly what they needed. And now, look, Ship, the game is back to dead even.
Back to dead even. You love to see it. And we've got Dragon in about 90 seconds. Nerne will have his flash. Rags the boss perhaps will not after all that scuffling. So we'll see how much better they can get that engage to stick. But you have to feel like the Mel is their primary target here around these objectives.
1 minute left until this dragon. Subtle Crab being secured by Haupu. But both neutrals being up. It's a pretty dicey time now. I feel like this fight could determine the rest of this game, honestly.
Yeah, Scoop is heading to just pick up some top waves. He has the TP. Last time we saw that 5 with Potential were first to the scene, trying to get some plays around that banana brush. They got pushed out, and eventually the fight just came out from that bush control. So they are first to the objective once again, and the setup is looking very similar with Vicarious and Seraphine up in the mid lane, with White trying to work through the bottom side. Actually going to join up more properly with his team. They are leaving Scoop to that top lane tower for now, with 10 seconds to this dragon.
There is one TP flank sitting at that bush that they will take.
Yeah, for
I
now
don't
it's going to
believe
be a
5 with
root
Potential
onto
see it.
Manta Ray. The Scion going to try to charge up the Deathmix Smash. He will live for a really long time. Lissandra, though, is looking for the flank. The Scion meets his end, and now here comes Scoop on the flank with how they get on top of the gears, but the Cyclone interrupts them until the unstoppable Malphite makes his entrance. Encore across the team, and the Mel drops her riches across the river. Vicarious cleans up the ace, and it is Big Hands hitting the spells, hitting all the ultimates, and getting themselves this second dragon for themselves.
Yeah, I don't know if they saw the teleport coming out from Scoop or not, but from right off the bat, 5 with Potential were just completely split on their calls, and they weren't completely decided on what they wanted to do, and they got punished for it. I love the angles that Wide and Scoop took to get into the fight, and then Haupu landing that Cataclysm. They just completely blew up the backline once that Scion was gone. Well played from them, and a Baron for their effort.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Wukong kind of being your only real engage while the Scion is just trying to tank up on the front line, they don't really have a great way to force the fight before the flank comes or turn on the flankers. They didn't have eyes on Scoop. They didn't have eyes on How. And that is the deciding factor. Mel not able to stay alive through the diving onslaught. It is Baron to Big Hands as they look to open up this map.
And Nerne has no flash again, so the map will be dicey. I feel like once again, big hands will have the choice of just pulling the play. And now that they have this 4K gold lead, a little bit more damage onto this Lissandra. And 4 items now for Vicarious. They can definitely just kill whoever walks up that isn't Sion. They probably can kill him too, pretty easily. But Spike Salesman just going looking straight for the play, but they won't be able to find it.
Yeah, he is
Or
going to
will they?
burn that Cyclone as they're looking here with Nerne. Scoop in some trouble. Is going to have that Zonia's, but it's only going to buy so much time before he goes down. Nice little play from the side of 5 with potential. As How and Holiday sticking around, but not sure they want to fight too much at a man disadvantage.
Yeah, that pick is pretty important. They're able to buy some time off this Baron now.
Oh, and
Vicarious
there's
being
the ult
picked
from
maybe.
Rags. He's just going straight forward, but he's going to be taken down by the Encore. Sion is in on top of this Ashe, and the Mel is able to find the last bit of damage. Nerne, though, locked in the Cataclysm, but there's no damage to really do him in just yet. Finally, Haupu putting that Eclipse to good work, takes out the Mel, and now this Mal fight is just a brick wall on the front line. But, I mean, so is Manta Ray. But the Baron minions, helping out a bit as they're going to try their best to take down this Scion without their Ashe. It's not going to happen, but it is still the Baron minions getting some tower damage. They do find the flag, the drag, and the kill. Holiday, though, does die to the tower. Some after fight shenanigans, as Hao is now getting very low, but I mean, they get the tower. Baron is about to time out, and I'll take it away, Prone.
Yeah, that's just a long sequence, but we can see that these fights are just the longer they go, the better it is for big hands. Ash's scale, J4. I wasn't liking the build too much earlier. I don't know if I'd still like it too much now, but the Spear Visage getting a ton of value. And not a large amount of consistent damage from the side of 5 with potential gives him a crazy amount of uptime. Yunara only just now finishing this Lord Doms. Gives her a little bit more damage, but now Vicarious is also finishing this BF sword and will be soon finishing what maybe either GA or Bloodthirster. So Ashe hurts like a truck. We saw those 3 autos just completely wipe out Rags the boss immediately. So these fights are just looking harder and harder. Five with
I
potential.
enjoy the thought process from Rags. Hey, we've got this Ashe maybe split off. I've got a McHale's in my back pocket for that Ashe R. Let's just try to force something here on the separated Ashe, as Manta does have to flash away. But yeah, we did see Rags go down pretty quickly, thanks to, like you said, the damage that Ashe is packing on her own. Didn't have too much support, did Rags the boss on that play. And even without the Baron, it is going to be big hands forcing their way through the base here in the bot lane.
Yeah, they just called 5 with hands bluff. They saw 3 people pushing in mid, and they said they're not going to base race you. They'll force him to back, take in the turret, but Engage coming out now.
Yeah, now White is going to get rooted up. He's going to ult. Mel is able to reflect the shard. Now Encore hits onto 2. Spark is very low. 3-man root into a 3-man knocker from How. Rags is trying to kite it out, but he's got no dash. He's locked in Cataclysm, but they have the damage. And maybe 5 with potential are pulling it out here in this late game. Rags is going to go forward. Scoop is able to get out with the frozen path, but Rags wants to continue the chase only for a bit longer. So it is going to be 3 for 1, favoring 5 with potential.
Yeah, all I care about is this game will go on. That's Drag's sole point going over to 5 with potential now. The gold's still in the favor of big hands, but now there is a slightly bigger chance for them in the game. Vicarious wants to take them on
Yeah,
alone, but it's
Vicarious is
1v4
trying
here.
to ego on them, but he gets hit by 1 Mel spell and he's gone. So, maybe not our
I respect
best
it. I
chance
respect it.
there in a 1v4. Scoop is still on the flank with his frozen tomb, but he will have to show himself out. Like you said, soul point. Pretty nice reward for 5WP here, as they do find a good engage around their bot inhibitor.
Yeah, the good news is that death is pretty inconsequential. Decided to hang on to the flash too, so just a little bit of ego checking. I respect it. But yeah, the map should stabilize and pretty much dead even back again at the 31 minute mark. Baron up in 40 seconds. This is a pretty big point for the game. If If big hands get this Baron, their base could just be in shambles with these two open inhibs.
I will say one of the things about White's build is that prioritized a lot of armor up front, a lot of health up front, only just now really getting that Negatron cloak for the Mel. Feels like the thought process has been like, hey, if I just blow up the Mel with my ult, I'm immortal. But in that fight, he just kind of gets stranded on the front line, isn't really tanky when the Mel is actually able to pump the damage into him. So we'll see what value he can find with his ult now that it is going to be 5-0 potential starting up this Baron.
Yeah, they're calling the bluff on Scoop's TP here. There isn't really a huge flank ward, so Scoop will just take the straight up TP to group up with his team, but now Manta Ray being stuck out a little bit here.
Oh, and he actually silence into the wall.
Should be able to. Okay.
Don't think they're gonna pull the trigger. Hal actually going forward. He's gonna get rooted up now. And that flag and drag is going to be a bit costly. Seraphine is able to top him off in the Baron. Now down below 4K. Spark trying to get in there, and he gets the steal on the Wukong. White flies into the back line, but there's no one there to really help him. Wukong's going to fall first, as maybe 5 of potential pulled off a brilliant heist. How's now trying to get the Cataclysm in onto potential 5. He's the only one in the dome, and finally he's flashed on and killed. Double to Vicarious, but How wants more. He's going to take some damage from the Mel, but it will still be 3 Barons to the side of 5 with potential.
Yeah, they have 3 Barons, but 2 are down for 30. Maybe if just Sparks Salesman died, it would be defendable still, but now it's looking pretty dicey.
And it's going to be 20 seconds before they get any kind of reinforcements. They do have the Baron minions to buy them some cushion, but the inhibitors, no such luck. So it will just be 2 inhibs falling for the side of 5WP, with the next big dragon fight still 230 away.
5 with hands. Getting the Baron bails them out big time. 2 inhibs down, but the Baron should be able to counteract it for a little while. This 2K gold lead means basically nothing. 2.5 minutes onto this dragon. That's a pretty sizable amount of time to just farm up a couple extra waves with these supers pushing in. We'll see if any extra item completions will come through. And this Yunara is actually starting to do a decent amount of damage now. We can see that he's kind of able to shred Halpu a lot more easily now, but the damage compared to this Ashe, compared to the sustain that Seraphine provides, is not quite there yet. Just missing just a tiny little bit to out DPS them.
Yeah, the Seraphine sustain is sticking right now quite well with no heal cut, no shield cut. Meanwhile, Halpu picked up that Serpent's Fang. So the one thing Karma can really do at this point of Mantra E isn't even going to do much. So potential 5, going to have to try to find some value through other means or more shielding or just a well-timed Mikhail's here, as this champion is definitely not in the best position at 34 minutes. And we're just going to see a group up from the side of Big Hands, leaving the Malphite in the side lane.
Yeah, both tanks just choosing to be in the sides here. This mid lane could be completely volatile. Both teams just opting to play the sides that they've been assigned. However, it looks like 5 with hands will choose to take the wave up mid, but now their base is being knocked on.
Yeah,
The recall will have to come out.
They're just going to lose at least the inhibitor tower, but they want to push forward for more. Don't know how long this Baron really has left in it, but it's going to be Nerne recalling back to the base here to make sure that they can clear out these waves. Baron minions still helping out. Mid lane inhibitor tower
Gonna get flanked.
is going to fall.
Yeah, if Big Hands play it right, they can just run it straight up. But now you can see the double TPs come out. They're scared of the flank, so they'll have to match it. But once they see the TPs come across, now they can set a trap.
Yeah, everyone is super split. They find the 3 members of Big Hands on the side. They engage in onto White as Manta is just soaking up the Ashe arrows, and Rags is getting to work on the big rock. They find White. He has to unstoppable exit his way to the bot lane. And I don't know if reinforcements are coming anytime soon. That's going to be a free kill for Rags. Does burn the ult on it, though. So it's now maybe a fight to happen. Here's the engage in on top of Nurne. He's locked in the Cataclysm, trying to get as much damage down as he can. And he's staying alive. He takes down the Jarvan. Encore is flashed away. The Mel is still alive, but so is Vicarious. Trying to pump out damage here onto this Scion who just refuses to die. The Tomb, though, from Scoop on the passive finds the kill on the backside. It's now Rags versus Vicarious. Holiday's gonna fall, and Vicarious is left to die last. They thought they had him on the flank. They thought they had him in the base. But it is now Chem Tech Soul to the side of 5 with potential.
We are so back, Shiv. We are so back, baby. These bloodbaths. That was an insane sequence for the past 2 minutes. Just in crazy map movements, flanks, team fighting. All the small details coming out. Look at these super waves. The Yunara has scaled now, so he's able to clear, but that turret was paper next to them. The good news is they do have Chemtech Soul, but the bad news is they will have 3 waves of supers slamming their turrets or slamming their base for the next 2 minutes. But 37 minutes into the game, the gold is dead even again.
This is a fantastic game to get us started. We've already got a ton of 5-on-5 team fights, some base shenanigans, and an exposed Nexus for the next couple of minutes. Given that they're just going to be trapped in here clearing supers, is there anything more you really need to see from the side of 5 of potential, or is it just, hey, you're going to be stuck in your base now?
I think if they cannot get a Baron contest here in 30 seconds, the game will just end by default. 3 waves of supers is nothing to scoff at in the big 26. And yes, this Yunara and Mel can farm and can clear, but for how much longer? You know, when you have all 3 waves stacked up in your base, that's 6 supers at once every 20 seconds. On top of a Malphite and a Lissandra just staring you down. It's going to be so much pressure. They need to contest this Baron in any way they can.
And they do have Manta Ray out with potential 5 to try to get some vision out. Scoop and White still with their TPs. They were not invested on the earlier play. How going forward? Not going to find Rags. Just going to push out the mid wave, keep up the pressure here with those supers.
Yeah, crucially, if Big Hands is tracking it, Nerne has no flash for this Baron contest. So one misstep could be the game here for this Mel that has been just dumpstering this entire game.
How and Scoop lurking on the sides. Try to see if they have an opportunity to blow someone up, but I think it's the right choice from Big Hands. Play it patient. Play around all of this vision you've set up around the blue side jungle. Clear out the last bits and try to see what you can do about this Baron. And they wanted to use it as a bait, but they missed the spells on Manta, so mid lane now maybe a bit opened up for 5 of potential to just get that wave.
Yeah, the huge thing is that this bot inhib has respawned. That's really the focal point that would be pressuring 5 with potential if they were to contest this Baron. So they have a lot of room to work with. You can see that gigantic wave crashing bot. All they have to worry about is this mid wave, really. Top wall, they can touch whenever they want. But this Baron is just going to be gone, it seems.
Yeah, it is getting completely shredded and secured. Now do they play for the exit? That looks to be the call. Spark, not able to find a Cyclone. Didn't have friends in the vicinity. And so it will be Baron to Big Hands.
At least the Baron is not synced up with the inhibs. You know, they do have a small bit of time to recuperate these waves crashing in as they barrel down mid and bot, it seems. All 3 inhibs up now. But it really is anyone's game at this point. The next fight could just determine the game. For the first time in the game, probably a gold lead for 5 with potential, however small it may be.
Yeah, but we are getting to the point where, like, hey, that big lead Vicarious had, it's even out now. He can't get any stronger, and the Yunara has caught up to him. Meanwhile, the lead that Nerne has not been caught up with. Lissandra's still down an entire item to this Mel. Lissandra is a champion that's fine with low econ, but would definitely like to get some good damage off with her ult and passive combo, but Vicarious now overextends perhaps, has a big shield from his Seraphine as Sion's going to try to just slam in there. Vicarious is getting very low. He's Cyclone on the backline, forced into his GA, but Nurne has no such luxury.
Rags.
He is flanked, destroyed, and that may be it. Rags now has to get to work. He has his entire HP bar to work with, and so does Asani. He's flashing in, finds Vicarious! On the Yunara, Rags the boss is taking over. It's now going to be a push towards the mid lane as Holiday is slowed up by the Sion. Spark is there to provide support, and Rags the boss is dominating. White is slowed, he will be killed, and it's just how to defend the base.
No one beats Rags the Boss for 41 minutes straight and gets away with it. Finally, in the final fight, Rags the Boss gets the last laugh, flashes on Vicarious, headshots him, and that will be game 1 after 41 minutes for 5 with potential.
An absolute slabanaka to get us started here in DMV Rivals Summer. And yeah, you saw it like, hey, now that the game's gone on long enough, Ashe, Yunara, same items. Ashe is being constantly pressured out by this Sion. Rags strikes, makes up for the fact that his Mel got insta-popped. And you love to see that kind of resilience after what was a very not good start.
Yeah, couldn't have asked for a better game 1, Shiv. What a great way to start this season. Absolutely insane game from both sides.
We will now take a short break before seeing what 5-0 Potential can do to get themselves back in for game number 2. Welcome back, everyone, for opening weekend here of DMV Rivals Winter 2026. Or wait, the graphics aren't updated yet. Summer 2026, as 5 with potential was able to get the win in a roller coaster of a game 1 and are sticking to all the bans they did here in game number 2 to try to get the same result.
Yeah, and Vesta slipping through this time with Shinzao being Zaya being the ban from Big Hands. So they save one ban, pick it up instead. Is a flex pick, but like I said before, I feel like the champ, although it's just a slight touch to the ulti time that it takes to cast, I feel like the champ has become so much clunkier just off of that. So we'll have to see. That's just my personal opinion. Champ is still, with the rest of the kit, very, very strong. If they're a great player on it, would of course respect it. And it will be the Ornn answer. We don't know if it's invested top or jungle. So Ornn being locked in as the answer for top already.
I mean, we did see Manta Ray have a very nice Scion game. Like, I understand Scion's not the most skill-expressive champion in there, but he did do a very nice job in lane, making space in those later game fights, making sure that Vicarious always had to be forced back, wasn't able to find any real threat aside from hitting the tank, so I like the Ornn there. And now it's going to be paired with the Kaisa for Rags the Boss.
Yeah, Kaisa has not been super popular as of recent with all these very lane-heavy priority champions. Kaisa is one of the weakest laning ADCs on the AD carry roster in the current game. So being locked in this early without any sort of champs revealed is just an insane priority from the side of 5 with potential. Rags the Boss must love this, or might be going jungle, might be going mid, no clue. But Ahri and Vi being locked in as well, so that will be the Ambessa top lane, and all in all, just a great dive combo being locked in for Big Hands.
It's a whole lot of dive. I am surprised that, like you said, they didn't opt for a lane-centric bot lane off the rip to punish the early Kaisa, but Ahri Vi still a solid duo. Are some things I was expecting to see into that duo. Kassadin was not one of them.
So Nerne's I just checked recently, and Nerne's most played mid laners of all time are Diana, Kassadin, and Vlad. Diana being banned away, and now Kassadin being locked in. I guess it's a pretty good individual answer into this Ahri, but now you have a dive, skirmishing AD carry, a mid laner that wants to scale, and a top laner that's a front line for a 5v5 comp. So to me, it feels like these 3 champions are very out of sync. And if these are just their comfort champions, I totally understand. It's the first series of DMV, so just set your footing. The meta is wide open. But yeah, just personally speaking, the champs don't make a lot of sense together.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of identity they can forge with their last 2 picks. For now, they are going to ban away some of those oppressive lanes to make sure that this Kaisa is in a better spot. We see Lucian off the board. I'd expect something like Corki. If Corki Nami, still a kind of solid lane next to that Lucian Milio. Zaya Rakan already off the board. But nope, actually going to focus on the more scaling option of the Aphelios as we see how Big Hands, if they want to narrow down the jungle pool anymore.
Yeah, Vicarious could probably just pick a wet napkin and beat Kaisa in lane with it still. The pool is pretty wide open. Got Corki, got Lucian being banned away. Senna not bad. It's just everything is still pretty wide open. So they get their pick of the litter for how to answer this comp. And I imagine that actually I don't know whether jungle or support gets picked here. I'll have to see.
Yeah, Mundo and Kindred being taken off the board. Definitely limiting some of the options. We've seen stuff, like Shen, like Ivern, some of these more defensive picks be good into the Vi. That is absolutely not a defensive pick, as it's going to be Rek'Sai over there in the jungle.
I can kind of understand the thought process behind the Rek'Sai pick. Rek'Sai just a great champion to bridge the early mid game, a great skirmisher into Vi as well. I don't know if you can consistently cancel the Q like you can with Lee Sin Q, but if you can, that's a great counter. And can be very self-sufficient into the dive of by Ari and Bessa, with the tunnels and a little bit of ult vulnerability, invulnerability as well. So a great champ to just bridge the gap between the Ornn and Kassadin power spikes.
Yeah, definitely can be a bit dangerous to play a more passive jungler. It feels like you maybe have to concede too much with those scaling solo laners and getting constantly invaded. So, not terrible there for the Rek'Sai. We do have Braum and Tristana as the
Ooh.
option for Vicarious and Holiday down there.
Yeah, I've been a huge Tristana enjoyer for a large part of my ADC career, and Tristana has really disappeared in 2026, especially with these lane dominant champions. Tristana is deceptively weak in lane, in my opinion. Yes, she can just kind of just jump on you and blow you up, but the more knowledge you gain and the more practice you have against the champ, the more you realize that, with and against the champ, the more you realize that that's not like a great way to play it. And the Taric is a great answer when you don't have the Braum. The next best thing against that kind of all in is a Taric. So I don't think that Big Hands expected that, but potential 5, digging deep into the pockets for that one.
Yeah, I mean, you say there's not a lot of synergy on those first 3 picks for 5 potential. My counterpoint, that's 4 purple champions and 3 void. And 3 void. Like, I'm sure that's something.
3
TFT,
void. Oh,
right?
you're right, bro. They get the
Kaisa comes out of the void
wait,
looking like a supermodel, and
yeah,
Cassin
yeah,
still
they
can't
get
recognize her. Makes sense. Anyway, yeah, I think the Taric fits in quite nicely, given that he's gonna be able to auto an Mbessa, auto a Vi, auto a Braum, and provide the heals, provide the invulnerability to make sure that you survive against what Ari, Vi, and Mbessa are gonna be trying to do.
Yeah, I actually really, really, really like these last 2 picks from 5 with potential. They just completely glue the comp together. It looks a little bit whack, very unconventional, but these 2 champs just fill in all the cracks that 5 with potentials have in their first 3 picks, and really allow Kaisa, Kassadin, and Ornn to shine. This Taric, just such a great fill in the gap for this Kaisa. Helps stabilize the lane. Plays really well with melees off that E, and then later on too, you can space the fight however you want. Whenever you have your invulnerability ready, the Rek'Sai, Kaisa, Kassadin can dive. The Ornn can throw ulti. Just I don't know what Taric builds these days, but has a good amount of sustain too. It's anti-dive with the ulti, so you can't just throw the Mbessa ult out. Rek'Sai very self-sufficient too. Like I'm just really in love with these picks. Super well drafted so far.
And we'll certainly see how far it gets them. Like what some of it's looking like into the enemy composition. Mentioned Kassadin being a comfort pick there for the side of 5 with potential. And I mean, I'm a bit left out of answers as far as why this Braum is here personally for Big Hands, because
It made a lot of sense to me on the 4th pick because you can't pick Kaisa with an enchanter, so he has to pick some kind of front line. And Taric is the only one that can go decently into this lane because Braum will just wall everything else, right? Kaisa doesn't want to lane with like a Lulu or like any of those enchanters, so it would have to been like Nautilus, Leona, Alistar, and Braum would have just blocked all of those. So it was a gauntlet pick. They threw down the gauntlet and said you have to pick engage there.
fair.
Taric was a great answer.
Fair. Well, we'll see how the spicy picks and the purple picks pan out for 5-0 potential, see if they can finish off this series 2-0. Hopefully, we're in for as much of a barn burner as that first game here. Or will Big Hands be able to close out, unlike game 1, and send us to a game number 3?
Summoner's Rift.
All right, and we are in for game number 2 here between Five with Potential and Big Hands. Some early scuffling in the bot lane over the brush. No sums blown, as interested to see how this bot lane pans out with the Tarek and Braum picks.
Yeah, this is going to be a super interesting bot lane. Tarek is really the only possible champion in the game that could have saved this bot side draft, and they did pick it out. So now it comes down to execution. Tarek is slightly favored into the lane, but doesn't have the Braum shield. So if Braum is able to tag that Q and Vicarious just plays the space to Kaisa, they can still take relatively favorable trades. Really just a skill matchup now to dodge the Tarek E, which Holiday's not able to do, and will take a big chunk here.
Yeah, he's getting down very low, needs the heal to stay alive, but Rags is keeping up the pressure, forcing a flash. And we're going to have a pause.
Typed pause out in the all chat. Looks like they're ready now.
Interesting.
Holiday's asking for the ref. Ref, do something.
Whatever advantages you can get, whatever gets you that 0.1 extra win percentage.
Yeah, I mean, we can see now, like, Braum really needs the shield to kind of stay afloat in this lane. And Tristana just needs to dodge. But regardless, like, that level 1 was super big for Vicarious. Having to burn the barrier, but we'll stay relatively even in HP until that Void Seeker lands.
Yeah, we do have both junglers again starting up top. Going to be heading towards this bot side matchup. We do sometimes see Rek'Sai do, the cheese of 3 camps, including red, and go around that kind of like blue side top wall. But not this time around. As for now, Vicarious and Holiday just going to stay back after losing out on that early all-in. We do pan to the mid lane where Scoop, I do like that, after game number 1 really didn't go his way, not losing the confidence. He's saying, okay, this is a Kassadin. I need to be getting advantages. I'm taking that Ignite. I'm going to be trying to make sure that even though game number 1 didn't quite go the way you would imagine, that he is still confident here for game number 2.
Yeah, taking that Ignite, he said, he drops it now. A little bit extra damage on Erne and puts on the pressure.
I wasn't quite able to get the Q back, unfortunately.
Exert his will on the mid lane. Opposite, a little bit less, or a little bit more opposite of the last game where Nerne was able to just constantly push in and get like what, a 40 CS deficit on him early game. But we'll have to see. Both of the solo laners from Big Hands just opting for Ignite, so they're throwing down the gauntlet in the solo lanes this game.
At least this time around, it will be no skipped camps, no early ganks out here from the Vi or the Rek'Sai. Just going to be trading out on either side before taking the reset. How is going to hover around this top side for a bit, but don't think much is going to come of it.
Yeah, bot hasn't taken their resets yet. So things could get pretty volatile soon. Rags the boss looking pretty low on HP, but I mean on mana. Won't have many W's left for the lane, but they're still able to hold Prio for a little bit as these junglers wrap around. But now Spark Salesman going for the first gank of the game.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is going to try to make her way up towards that top side. Does find the unburrow, but White will have enough dashes to evade anything lethal.
Looks like Raz the boss and Potential 5 getting their resets off first. They will be able to dictate this bot side for a little bit as the wave crashes. Potential 5 not opting for a reset at all, actually. Yeah, pretty stable early game for both teams. Both solo laners going down a tiny bit as expected.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have Ari and Vi hitting that all important level 6 soon, where they can really start to flex their playmaking muscles and get active, while the casting you expect to take a whole lot longer. As Ignite is dropped by White, but not quite enough damage onto the Ornn. Manta without TP will be able to pick up this cannon wave if he could pick up the minions, but he was at least there for it, as White is going to take the reset.
Oh, gets the sneak that is out
Actually,
there.
Spirit Rush by Scoop doesn't find the pullback on the Q this time either, but Nerne doesn't really have a way out of this, so nice work by Scoop, finding his angle and getting first blood.
Yep, great punish. Good to see that he still has the confidence to go for these plays. That will be a kill and maybe Dragon over. Going Nerne has
Spark,
no.
I don't think that's the tunnel we want, as now he's in trouble, but gets the knock up onto the Tristana. The Tarek's trying to heal up the Rek'Sai, and she will stay alive, but the Tarek will die for it. Dragon secured by How as well, as Rag's not going to get tagged there by the concussive blows, and will be able to stick around for a bit more.
Yeah, but now Nerne is able to reconnect here.
Rags might have bitten off a good bit more. He gets double stomped on by Vicarious, and now this Tristana and Braum have some legs under them.
I mean, the side of 5 with potential got away with murder with almost, but then they walked back in. Nerne did get a kill back, but then they had to donate 2 more over. So early game not looking too hot so far, as Big Hands off to the races with the 1.1k gold lead.
Yeah, feels a bit of tomfoolery to care about the early dragon. We mentioned Rek'Sai does help you kind of like not seed everything in the early game, but you still have to feel like your champs are not all too strong just yet. And so they do get punished. Vicarious and Holiday, the benefactors, and now see how much further they can push it with the Vi ult being unlocked. Rags did at least hold on to his flash, so he's not a primo target for that cease and desist.
I believe that Vicarious is going for first item collector here as mid lane.
Yeah, Scoop's actually going to get solo killed back by Nerne. The Rift Walk is all he needed. Doesn't even really have real items, but Nerne finds the solo.
Yeah, Nerne got his gift back immediately. He was not going to be disrespected this game. And that kill earlier in the river gave him the tiny bit of gold and tiny bit of confidence to go for the play. And Scoop has the Spirit Rush available, so he must have just slightly was off the timing. And Nerne punished exactly. He just called his bluff and said, "You don't have ulti," and went for it.
Yeah, very nice stuff for Nerne, who definitely wants to get up to that Roa as soon as he can. And so any extra gold in his pocket is always appreciated.
Gold being pretty much even once again. That solo kill in the mid lane equaling things up a bit, but now a 4-man bot lane starting to form.
They're gonna jump on in. Potential has no flash, does have the Cosmic Radiance, does manage to get it off in time, but now Cease and Desist right on top, and How's able to find the kill. Spark and Nerne, though, are joining up for the play, but the Rek'Sai is not taking up. Vicarious now under duress on the backside. Nerne needs to pick his moment. They have the chunk. There's the Killer Instinct from Rags, the boss, but he dies for the kill. And now Nerne is stacked up by the concussive blows. Is able to Rift Walk his way for another kill, but it is a triple to Scoop at the end of it all.
Yeah, there's just so much early fighting going on for the side of big 5 with potential. It just, I mean, yes, they're picking up kills. They're still slightly losing the fight, but like, it's not really worth it to play the fight anyways. Potential 5 just got picked out. Let him go. Don't pull your Kassadin away. Punish the Ahri. Get your Kassadin some solo farm, some solo XP. Get your Rek'Sai some tempo on the map. Just give it up and just scale more. So looks like more early fighting is about to come out too. As Spark Salesman is just continuing to force the issue.
Yeah, there is no Vi Ari ultimate, but White is going to force his way through on this Ambessa. Ornn lurking around the corner, as is Potential 5. The charm hits onto the Taric as Manta is looking for the angle, finds the Searing Charge into the stun. Nicely done by Nerne to set up the Dazzle. And so while it's some grubs go in the way of Big Hands, they lose their mid laner.
Yeah, I'm just Spark Salesman is just a Giga Chad. That's what he's on his Rek'Sai. I think he knows his early game power, and he's like, I don't care if my solo laners are scalers. I will beat everyone up, and even though he's by myself, and we'll just keep forcing the fights.
We do not have Ornhorn in the top lane from Manta. White is just going to be left alone for this one. He's going to Ignite, try to turn it with the public execution, but a beautiful Brittle Breath from Manta, and he's going to be A-okay.
That great buffer. Manta Ray holding himself well pretty here.
Well, we've got Spark Salesman now engaged on by How. Cease and Desist, Spirit Rush, all the tools still in the tank. As Dragon is going to be the main point of contention now. Still no Cosmic Radiance for Potential 5 for this Taric. They're snooping around, but it is going to be a second Dragon to the side of Big Hands.
Oh, give the drag. Nothing really lost there. No big deal. Gold pretty even once again. Been looking pretty solid so far for 5 with potential. I will say the Taric pick has not been working out too hot. He's just been getting caught stranded, which is pretty rough to do. Taric is not like the most ideal frontliner, and obviously you don't want him in the backline. You have to walk a very fine line with how this champ plays, specifically into champs like Braum and Vi. We see Spark Salesman hovering on the bot lane looking for a play.
Yeah, we'll see what he's able to find. As Potential is going to line up the double Dazzle, and Braum could be in trouble, does flash away, and the Buster Shot to buy some space. So, a nice attempt there from the Rek'Sai, but not able to cash in.
Yeah. Also, another reason I feel like they locked in this Braum is because I know Potential is a pretty big Braum player. So just stealing away his comfort as well is pretty huge.
But now Manta could be in trouble. Gets hit up by the Volt Breaker, but he is very, very tanky. Nice double Dazzle again from Potential, as meanwhile the Ambess is getting very low and is killed by Manta's Ornn. Pulling off the plays in the 1v2. There's no more bot scuffling for now, but Kassadin is getting aggressive in the topside river. Nerne going to get ignited. Now his Scoop is trying to wait for his jungler, but a flash double on Burrow. And now the Void rush in. Spark finds his moment. And now Haupu is finally able to find the kill with the cease and desist. Does get away from the Ornn as well. So it's a lot of action on the top side that seems to mostly favor 5 with potential.
Yeah, this game is way scrappier than I thought it would be. Every lane just constantly duking it out. I didn't even see what happened to White in the top lane. The Ornn counter pick. I didn't even know this was a counter pick matchup. I thought Ambessa just beat up every tank, but I guess Ornn is just, or Manta Ray's Ornn is just that good. So props to him finding the kill in the 1v2. Insane outplay. And Spark Salesman just having his way with every fight so far, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that they even have this bit of gold lead for the Kassadin Ornn comp here at 14 minutes bodes pretty well, I feel, for the side of 5WP. Yeah, maybe a bit critical of all the fights they're willing to take, but at least in the end, it's not looking too bad for them. Even being kind of even is like perfectly fine, you have to feel, for a comp that's waiting for this double item stacking Kassadin and 4 or 5 Ornn items to come across.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like being even is fantastic for this team. I would expect them to be at a deficit by 14 minutes, but they even have a small lead. Their solo laners are perfectly afloat, winning their matchups individually. And overall, just a great map state as Maybe
And
something
they're gonna
happens here.
maybe look, flash in from Potential 5, and now the Killer Instinct from Rags. They just pile in on top of Vicarious. He's able to get the Buster Shot, stay alive, but now his front line needs to get out of the way. Nurne does teleport in, finds himself the kill onto the Braum, and now White might be stranded. His team can't really take the fight, and neither can he. He's gonna be stunned up on another Dazzle as Spark is going to find another kill. Now Cease and Desist underneath the tower. Have they gone too far? No, Nurne is able to get in there with a Rift Walk. And it is 4 for nothing until the tower finally does spark in.
That was just a hands gap. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say it myself. They called their bluff and just pulled the play on 5 with potential. They just showed it straight to the bottom. Vicarious now wants the solo match. I don't think he wants that either.
He got the jump, but the Ornhorn is there to follow him. He gets bowled over. And Manta Ray cleans up the one guy on the side of Big Hands who didn't go down in the bot lane scruffle.
That looks like a tilter if I've ever seen one, Shiv. I don't think Vicarious saw the turret HP, and then he jumped into the turret, and he's like, oh, there's no HP on this turret. And then it was over from there. But an insane team gap, it looks like. I mean, super well played from everyone on the side of Big Hands. Or 5 with potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Nurne looking for an angle in the bot side. Riftwalk does a good bit of damage. He's got Spark in the wings, but that Void Seeker not going to connect. So it is going to be a good chunk on the Ahri before this Dragon. Items mostly at parity, except for his very scary Cassidon, who, even if he doesn't have full value from his Roa just yet, does feel pretty good in these fights. They teleport Manta down, so this should be Dragon all but locked up for the side of 5 with potential.
Yeah, I'm just super impressed with Manta Ray and Nurne so far in this series. Game 1, they both looked fantastic in their solo lanes, each winning their individual matchups. In this game too, maybe a slight hiccup in the early game, but Nurne recovered beautifully. Manta Ray winning the counter match at top lane, supposedly. I still don't know how this lane is supposed to go, but yeah, the stability that winning 2 scaling lanes provides is absolutely pretty insane for 5 with potential.
Absolutely. It does feel like the game slipping a bit away from Big Hands. Anything you'd like to see them try to tackle here before the next Dragon fight in 4 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, they picked Vi, Ahri, and Bessa. They gotta like link up one dive and force an outnumber somewhere. Like, it's not about tempo and it's not about playing your sides right at this point in the game. It's really finding the pick first, because your comp is built to fight. Your comp is not meant to play the map and 5v5 and that kind of stuff. You can 5v5, don't get me wrong, but especially at this kind of deficit, you need to do something more to shift the tempo of the map in your favor that doesn't involve macro, in my opinion. Oh my god. But that Cassidon is looking quite scary already, so.
Yeah, as the Ornn is going to Searing Charge Holiday for a knockup. They've got Rek'Sai working on that Rift Herald, adding to their 3 Void comp, as that will be locked up. And Manta still just walking on down, trying to see if they can find any missteps.
Yeah, they have 2 Bruiser now. Oh wait, Rek'Sai was a Vanquisher. Yeah, so they still need another Bruiser. They gotta get Bear. Actually, I don't know what Bear. I think it's just. But they're just 5 grouped up in mid now already.
Yeah,
Good rock.
Rags even piloting the Herald in for another crash. They get the gang together.
Oh wait, Manta Ray's Ornn Q blocked their own Rift Herald. You see on the mid turret that
bounce out correctly. Okay.
Yeah. The Ornn Q and like walls and stuff can block Herald, right? So Manta Ray threw Q accidentally, and then the Herald didn't hit the turret, so it didn't get 2 extra plates.
It's always the one you think that are your friends that'll betray you in the end, as Shelly not able to get tower smash, I guess. But still, a very solid game state for the side of 5 with potential. As Hao is going to get some Krugs. I don't think he'll get punished too hard for this. Vi does have that mobility. Blast Cone is going to bring Rek'Sai over with her, though, so Spark now still on the chase. Cease and Desist going to get used alongside the Imbecile. They're trying to just turn it onto the Rek'Sai, but the Taric is here. The Cosmic Radiance provides the defense, and Manta Ray's Ornhorn provides the offense. Nurne, meanwhile, gets a kill on the backside. It is a disaster for Big Hands as they try to bail their jungler out. And now Baron's on the Rift for 5 WP to take.
Yeah, that might just be the death knell for Big Hands. Halpu just trying to get a little bit aggressive and steal those Krugs away, but you're really in enemy territory there. Didn't expect Spark Salesman to be right around the corner. Flashes for the follow-up and stays on him. So Halpu gets punished, gets caught out, and brings down 3 of his teammates with them.
Yeah, things now getting quite bleak. You have to imagine for the side of Big Hands. They had a game one that was within their grasp. Nexus towers were reduced to rubble, but they couldn't finish the job. And now in game 2, it's not even looking all too close. They do lock down Manta Ray with the Ahri Charm. It'll take some time, and he does have Flash. He will expend it. Scoop and White still on the chase. Foxfire Charm will claim the shutdown. So at least something getting there for the side of Big Hands.
Yeah, they got something back. Not the worst. If they can fix their map a little bit, they might be able to contest something for this dragon, but hitting through this Rek'Sai Ornn Taric disruption combo is going to be so insanely hard for this Vi, Ahri, and Bessa. And again, I just have to praise the draft. This Rek'Sai was such a great pick. And this Taric didn't look too hot in lane, but it has just been doing wonders. That ult just so simple, able to stop whatever assault and battery the target is being used on, as well as a cease and desist. And then Nerne and Rags Devash is able to do whatever they want now, whatever their champs are designed to do.
Yeah, potential 5, even with the newly buffed Knight's Vow. So much value into comps with Mbessa, with Ahri, with Vi that look to skip past your front line. We're like, hey, I don't need to be tank if you're not trying to hit me. I just want to get that damage away from my carries. As it is going to be Big Hands trying to force their way through here. But Manta Ray is a quite effective bouncer here in the line rush.
Yeah, this is the other thing with Tristana too now. Tristana, if you are behind from lane, it feels like you can never catch up for the whole game. You have kind of hyperstary scaling.
Oh, a massive 3-man knock from the Ornn. They might be able to block the ulti, but Manta's already done his job. White, though, is able to fly in and assassinate Rags the boss. Vicarious now needs to try to put out damage because there are still 4 members standing strong. How does find a second. Scoop very, very low, but the Void Seeker doesn't connect. And so it is 2 for 2 at the end of it all.
Yeah, that's the best possible situation that they could have gotten. Scoop lived, and they got 2 huge bounties. Actually, they weren't that huge. The Cassidy bounty was huge. The Kaisa one, not so much, but Mbessa getting, 900 gold in total? Pretty huge for him. And that is much needed gold if they're going to try and stay afloat in this game.
Yeah, White, after not having a great showing thus far on this Mbessa, does now have an angle into that fight, takes it, and is able to take out the important Kaisa. But this Gaston is perhaps far more important now that he has gotten up to that 3-item mark with his tier and Roa stacked up entirely. They do have point and click with the Vi, but I'm not sure if they have quite the damage to take him out when he is CC.
Yeah, once this Kassadin, if this Kassadin chooses to finish his Anyas, it's kind of his game. So that's your timer more than anything. He's about to hit level 16 just straight up too. So already one of the peak power spikes for 5 with potential reached. And from here on out, it's going to be even harder for Big Hands.
Not only do we have that kind of 4K gold lead there in the top scoreboard, you've got 3 Ornn items dealt out by Manta Ray. That's about 1K each. You've got the fact that Cassidy and Taric just scale exceptionally better than some of the average champions. And his gold lead is feeling a good bit more surmountable than just the 4K that's on the scoreboard.
Yeah, for sure. And this orange is constantly winning side lane is an even bigger
Oh, we have How just sending it onto Rags, but he has
problem.
the killer instinct. Vi still on top of him, though, and How finds a great angle, but Vicarious is dead as well. Spark finds his way into the back line. Everyone's TPing in for this one. Cosmic is
Oh,
going to come on to triple
Nerne.
kill over to the Kassadin. It will not be a Pentas. Potential 5 cleans up the Ari, and the public execution is not going to be named appropriately. It's an ace finished off by Nerne, and 5 with potential look to close out the series.
Yeah, that rift walk just across the entire mid lane over and over. That is disgusting to see. Bringing back some season 3 PTSD. Um, but yeah, I mean, Alpu picked the fight and they did what they could. I don't think the game will end here, but 8k gold lead now. Baron up in 30. Hardly should be a contest from Big Hands. From there on out should be easy riding.
Yeah, you like the angle from How to just blow up the Vi, try to get something back, but his own carry really can't stay alive. So very difficult fight to take. And I mean, we talk about the Ord items supplying some good gold value to his team. The fact that he's just stacking all this armor and the only AP damage source is an Ari that really never wants to hit him anyway. A Manta Ray is going to be very difficult to take down, even if by some miracle the Kassadin missteps and gets blown up. It just doesn't feel like things are really going to go the way of Big Hands. We need some minor miracles to happen.
Minor miracles. I think it'll be a lot more than that. Now they might be able to get a pick on potential, but the charm misses. Able to walk out the concussive blows.
Oh, and now Rags is
Potential
going
5.
aggressive. Chunks out Scoop with the Acathian Rain. As meanwhile, How, I don't think he has great odds in this 1v1. Nerne gonna look for another Q, and that's gonna do it. The Dazzle even getting the kill. White trying to fly on in with a public execution, but I mean, that's gonna be named for himself and himself only, as Spark is going to claim that kill. It's just a formality. Rags is gonna swoop in and pick up another one. Nothing too funny about this one. It was an active back and forth game number 1. But 5 with potential saying, nope, we are undoubtedly the better team here in this game number 2. Vicarious and Holiday aren't going to have nearly enough to defend their base. Rags going to look to get another kill in the scoreboard, but Nerne, he gives one over. Still, a 2-0 sweep to start off summer for the side of 5 with potential.
Yeah, and I have to give props to Nerne and Manta Ray. These solo laners looking absolutely monstrous in this opening set. Nerne having himself a series himself. Have to give the MVP to him. But yeah, just great showing from them. And that Kaisa early slam, I really doubted. And once it was followed up with the Kassadin, I was like, what are they doing? But it seems that the comfort just writes itself. They just need to pick what they're good at, and everything is smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, definitely a great performance to start them off there. On the side of Big Hands, saw some big hands from Haupu's Vi, trying to make some plays, but felt like stuff was really slipping away from them just as the game dragged on and on. Probably going to be kicking themselves about that game number 1 that I felt like they should have been able to close out, and maybe we'd be in a game 3 instead of them exiting after a game 2. So we'll see what they're able to clean up. Plenty of season left. Try to find their way back. But it will be 5 of potential in first place. To start us off, 100% win rate.
First. Yeah.
Great
Not
start.
often does that happen. Sole possession of first place.
But the Swiss stage round 1 will continue rolling tomorrow with Ochatai versus the Hectech Hate Watchers and Haagen-Dazs versus Pest Control tomorrow evening. So stay tuned for more Swiss action here. My name is Shiv with Prone, signing off here of our debut match.